Hi, I'm Jeff Cohn, and I'm delighted to be here today recording another edition of the Mayor's Corner with Mayor Joseph Rudess, the mayor of the Village of University Park. As you can see, we're both wearing masks today, and we're practicing safety during the COVID-19 pandemic. And even though we are in unprecedented times during the pandemic, we're still here recording the show at the beautiful Pine Lake in the Village of University Park. And Mayor, this is a very beautiful lake.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. Were you aware of this Pine Lake facility?
I never was. I've lived in this community for 29 years, and I never knew about this beautiful location back here in Village of University Park.
Wow, so that tells me, if you didn't know about it, there are several residents in our town who are unaware of the beautiful Pine Lake. So we'll have to do more to make sure that they're aware of what amenities and facilities that we actually have here in the community.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Mayor, we have a lot to talk about today. You know, we had planned to do a year in review with you, before the pandemic actually had come about. And so now we're 15 months past into your mayoralship here in the Village of University Park. And so what I'd like to do today is to give your viewing audience an opportunity to hear from you as it relates to some updates. And we'll start first with the most important thing, and that's COVID-19. I'd like for you to provide some level of update and where things are as it relates to the village's response to COVID-19.
Well, as we all know, as you said earlier, Jeff, we're in unprecedented times. COVID-19 has taken us to a place where we've never been before and will probably never be again. There are safety precautions and things that we all must adhere to. For one, follow the governor's directions, follow our directions. Wearing your mask in public when entering these businesses. It's important for the safety of the other person. Show concern and care. If you don't believe it, if you think this is something different, have the courtesy to at least follow the laws and think about the next person. It's very dangerous. This is a disease or a virus that does not discriminate from the youngest to the oldest. This can affect everyone. And I would like to say, I would greatly appreciate the cooperation of the Village of University Park's residents. Times are tough. People aren't working as much, but they're very compliant and understanding about the necessity of wearing masks in public. I'd also like to compliment our small businesses, because now they've got signs posted that they must wear a mask when entering, or there'll be no service when entering their facilities. So it's slowly but surely catching on. It's a very scary times, and people just don't know what to do. So the best thing to do when you don't know what to do, follow the guidelines of our governor, follow the guidelines of me, our mayor, and our declarations. Follow the guidelines of the city council on what we're asking you guys to do. We're only concerned about the safety, health, and welfare of our residents, and we'll get through this together. I must compliment the residents over and over again. We've got a resilient group of people here in University Park. I just can't say it enough, because I would say overwhelmingly 90% of everybody pretty much complies. And residents, if you go into a business and you see them not socially distancing, and you see that the business is not in compliance with the law, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call our police department. We have mechanisms in place now that we can actually enforce those laws. We've recently just passed legislation at the city council meeting that gives us the ability to enforce those laws to protect the safety of our public.
Good.
Since then, we've given away tons and tons of masks. I'm not going to say tons and tons of masks, but masks are readily available for any resident, any household, or any family in University Park that needs them. Excellent. You can get them during regular business hours at our village hall, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So just to let everybody know that masks are available. If you don't have masks, if you can't afford masks, I'm going to encourage our chief of police to also put a couple of boxes of masks in each squad car as they patrol. So if we see young people walking through the community or out walking, we can offer them a mask, and maybe that's just a better way to encourage them and let them know the seriousness and the importance of it. So we're doing those things.
Excellent.
Our first responders are working hard every single day, from our public works department, our fire department, and our police department.
Okay.
I must commend them.
Good.
They're working under very strenuous, physically and mentally conditions.
Well, it's encouraging because Illinois has been one of the few states has really had a low positivity rate over the last 2 months. So I'm glad to see that many Illinoisans are actually doing the right thing, and it's good to hear that the residents and people that live in the village of University Park are doing the right things as well. So thank you for that update.
And let me just mention one more thing that I think is very important. For those who don't know, University Park is located in Region 7.
Oh.
So when you see the governor talking about certain regions may have to go back and revert to different things as we were previously, when they refer to Region 7, that also includes University Park. Now, one thing that has occurred recently, according to stats, is that for the first time since COVID has taken place, in University Park, there was 8 consecutive days where there was some reporting of COVID-19 cases. So I want to give the residents the right information, the statistical and the factual information.
Right.
So for the first time that we've had 8 contiguous days of cases, that could be very alarming. So we have to be very precautionary in the things that we do.
Right.
So, and since this COVID-19 has gone on, we also understand that people aren't working. Unemployment rates are high right now, and what we're trying to do, not just as the village, fortunately we have great new partnerships with our local churches in the town.
Okay.
I would like to just call out the names because they're just 3 churches that we work consistently with. I'd like to say we've done many food pantries, food drive giveaway with Faith Movers, with the Village of University Park and Faith Movers and First Baptist Church. We've probably fed at least over 5,000 to 10,000 families during this pandemic.
Wow.
Working with First Baptist today, they just did COVID testing at the church. Today is the 20th of August, and they had great COVID testing, and they had PPE giveaway and masks and gloves. And there's a new church, the AME Church, down on Exchange University, in University Park. I can't recall the new pastor's name, but she's also a strong advocate and willing to work in partnership.
Excellent.
So it's good to say that when I grew up, sometimes we didn't depend on government to do everything, but when government partners with the local churches, and we turned this into a great big community. So I'm very pleased to say that over the summer, in the height of the pandemic, that we all put our heads together, rolled up our sleeves, and we were very successful in organizing and distributed at least 5,000 to 10,000 families for food.
Excellent.
You know, so I'm very proud to say that.
So it sounds like you all are doing the right things in terms of uniting as a community to fight this pandemic, but you would like for your viewing audience to know that Region 7 needs to do more, actually.
Yeah, because we don't want to revert back.
Yeah, exactly. Good. So that's good to know. So let's move on to the next update, and this is something that you stepped into. It was unplanned, but it was something that you had to apply a tremendous amount of leadership to address. And it's the aqua water crisis that you really walked into as a mayor. After you were inaugurated, you stepped right into this. And so what type of update would you like to give around the aqua water crisis situation?
I'd like to give an update because the residents need to know. It's been over a year now.
Okay.
This was day 22, 2 days in the office as mayor when I got the knock on my door regarding the lead crisis in the water. So up to date now, Aqua has been giving us, the residents, the opportunity to pick up water at their distribution center. But right now, we've been pacified long enough to make a long story short. We need results from Aqua Water. Aqua Water has done nothing outside of the ordinary or showed a humanitarian part, in my opinion, on the concern of the residents in our community. For one, and a lot of people don't understand how we got here. to end this situation. Jeff, let me just go back over this because this water situation is very serious.
Sure it is.
And our residents need to have the most up-to-date information as possible. When there was a new water source that was brought into the village of University Park, the proper process when bringing in a new water system into a new community or aging infrastructure is to cut off a piece of the existing pipe that's there, take it into the laboratory, and laboratory test how the effect of the new chemical solution will react once implemented fully into the system. Unfortunately, that is not what happened in this case. What Aqua decided to do was to do computer-generated testing. And as we all know, that just didn't get it. Computer generation, it didn't work out. And when they put those stuff into the new chemical into the system, it had it stripped all the coating that was on the existing pipes in the water system. And that's how we got there, and that's how lead got to flowing within the system. So Aqua's responsible for this. They made this mess. There was an oversight committee in place that was appointed by my predecessor and the president of Craig Blanchett, which is the president of Aqua Water. I don't know what the process was on what was watched and what would happen over there, but that's behind us now. I'm the mayor now. This fell onto me in 22 days into the new administration. And this is something that we'll have to deal with and deal with it the best way possibly that we can to make sure that when this thing is over, that every resident that's in this do not advisory has clean, fresh drinking water, and with a clear conscience can drink it, not satisfied until then. So what we're going to be doing with Aqua, we're going to be having a town hall meeting very soon. We're asking our legislators to step up to the plate, stand with the village of University Park as we move forward to bring resolve to the Aqua water crisis here in University Park. I am calling on Senator Patrick Joyce, our state senator. I am calling on our state representative, Anthony DeLuca. I'm calling on our U.S. Congresswoman Robin Kelly, and our Senator Dick Durbin to stand unified with myself, the mayor, the city, the Board of Trustees, and the residents of the village of University Park. Black lives do matter, and water is essential, and we will not be treated this way anymore. So residents, we're organizing now on a town hall meeting regarding Aqua water, and we're trying to configure it because I would really like to have your bodies there present. So we're looking at maybe at 90 Town Center on a Saturday morning where it can be done outside with social distancing in place, and we can not just get the answers, we are going to give our demands on what we expect for Aqua, because reparations will not be avoided in this situation in the village of University Park.
So town hall meeting is really the next step, and then bringing in federal, state leadership to help bring your voices, collective voices, to Aqua so they can hear you loud and clear.
Well, listen, Jeff, the residents have been patient above and beyond what anyone can ask for to have their scenario, I mean their household and their life disrupted this way. They deserve the best they possibly can. So we're going to have our list of demands for Aqua. We're not going to go into any further than that because this has to be done the proper way. There's still an active lawsuit, so I'm only at liberty to say a very few things. But I know one thing for sure: there will be a list of demands issued out through national TV, through press conferences, through media, through Black Lives Matter here in the state of Illinois, from Black Lives Matter in the state of Pennsylvania, where Aqua's headquarters are. We want not just answers, we want resolve, and we want reparations for the residents of our community moving forward. Good.
Well, I'll be looking forward to that, and I will make sure that I come and cover that story as well when that takes place. So, you know, you mentioned Black Lives Matter, and I wanted to just also get any update that you want to provide in terms of what's taking place in the village as it relates to the recognition of Black Lives Matters and in the support of Black Lives Matters as well?
Well, one of the main things that I will be reaching out to the Black Lives Matter group is to support and help us to march and protest with the purpose to let us go, because we are important. This is a predominantly African American community, and our voices not just alone must be heard, but action must be felt on behalf of our residents.
Okay.
So I will be reaching out to Rainbow Push, speaking with Jesse Jackson Sr. and the Black Lives Matter groups here in Chicago and the state of Illinois, and we will protest with the purpose, because we want results now. They have to show a humanitarian side. They have to get the public trust back.
Okay.
And that has been voided right now.
Okay.
And they have to, and one of the other things, Jeff, is what really disturbs me. It seems like their only concern, in my opinion, is their economic stature.
Oh, wow.
I'm asking Aqua to give us 90 days without a sewage bill to run the water. Our residents will, quite frankly, and I'm quite sure, if Aqua agrees to give us 90 days without a sewage charge, that we can get this thing over and done with. But when it seems that Aqua's only interest is in their economics and what they're not receiving as far as water bills go, then it's very disturbing. So if they don't want to do that, and they don't want to come to the table, sure, and let's say, well, we've mayor, city council, we've made residents of University Park, we've flawed, we've made mistakes. We're willing to admit that. We're willing to move forward and help you guys get the stability and respect of this community that we need.
Okay.
And until that happens, we're going to start pounding that pavement. Wow. We've been patient enough, and residents, be encouraged, be with us.
Good. I hope that you all take a united front, because I've watched you patiently address this, and now it is time to take it to another level.
It is.
Good luck with that. Also, let's move to something that I think that is, understand that the Village of University Park has done a pretty good job at in terms of addressing and being united on, and that is the 2020 census. Where are you all in terms of, the results in getting people to actually comply and to fill out the 2020 census? I know that a few months back you encouraged your residents to participate. And so, how are things going?
Well, things are going, they're going decently. We can do better. Where the Village of University Park is, and percentage-wise, we're at about 60% of having all of our census reports done.
Okay.
Our goal is actually not to have 100%. The state of Illinois is only at 67%. But regardless on what the state of Illinois does, the Village of University Park needs to excel and making sure that all our census papers are filled out properly, and that every person in the household is counted.
Okay.
They've pushed the deadline back, so the last time to do the census would be September 30th of 2020.
Okay.
So it's vitally important to ensure that we get every single resident out there to get counted. So residents, what you may encounter, someone knocking at your door unexpectedly, as I would be, I would advise you to be cautiously approaching the door. But just to let you guys know, there are representatives of the U.S. Census canvassing our community, going door to door for the people who have not been registered or counted as the census. They have U.S. Census credentials and identification. If you're in question or have any doubts about it, don't open your door. But if you want to look at it, look at their identification and ask for their credentials. If they don't have them, they're not with the U.S. Census Bureau. So it's vitally important to ensure that everyone fills out the census. If you're concerned about our roads, our schools, our infrastructure, our future, our education part, our young people, it's important to get counted. We cannot afford to lose dollars or a congressional seat. It's vitally important to the African American community of University Park to get close to 100% as possible. So residents, for those of you guys who have not completed your census form yet, it takes 3 to 5 minutes. Please go do that. It's important to where you live. This is one of the biggest investments that you can make in your community without spending a dime, just a few minutes of your time.
Good. So I'm looking forward to coming back in the next Mayor's Corner and actually talking about and seeing how you all did as a united front in terms of, I hope that you get to the 100%.
Well, that's our goal.
Good. So keep pushing at it.
Behind every 2020 census taker's mask is a friendly neighbor. They're teachers, retirees, vets, people committed to doing right by getting the count right. If you haven't responded yet, they'll be stopping by to ask some simple questions that will inform how billions in federal funds are spent on local services every year for the next decade. So when they come knocking, say hi from a safe distance and do your part to support your community. Time is running out. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov.
You know, Mayor, when you took over, you got inaugurated, I recall that you made a pledge during your campaign, and some pledges during your campaign, that you would find grant money to to restore, renew, and revitalize many of the village amenities, just as the aquatic center, the town city, historic Regal Farm, and others. How are things going with that pledge?
Well, we're on track. We're on track. And there's some mechanisms and things that people need to understand. We were a part of the state bidding part. It's called OSLAT grant.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we were kicked out of the OSLAT grant process, which would have greatly did a lot of the financing to renovate this beautiful Pine Lake where we are and our historical Regal Farm. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, prior to my arrival, there hadn't been a treasurer's report filed for 3 consecutive years, which cost us a lot. And it got us kicked out of the grant process.
Oh, wow.
A couple of things got us kicked out the grant process.
Okay.
There wasn't treasurer's reports filed for the last 3 years in the village of University Park. And our audits were not up to date. Those things go hand in hand with qualifying to get the grants that these communities need.
I see.
So what we've done since then to ensure that we're on the right track to recapture those great dollars in Springfield that can greatly go and help our community without, burdening the taxpayers or raising something here or raising something there.
Okay.
That grant money is vitally important. So what we've done is we started working on our audits. When I first got into office, Jeff, there was no transition whatsoever. Mm-hmm. There was no supporting documents. There were no projects to be aware of. There was no funds to be looking at. It was basically, you're the mayor now. This is a new administration. You take it and go with it. I was led to believe when we got in office, Jeff, that our audits were fairly updated. After investigating and looking a little bit further and talking to our financial consultants and analysts, I found out when I got in office as mayor in 2019 that we had only done up to 2013 years of worth of audits. So what we're doing now to get back on track, because the rearview mirror, Jeff, understand, is such a small picture, but if people don't understand and know how we got to where we are, they don't understand the struggle or the process it takes to get to where we need to go to deliver the services and make our amenities what they need to be in our community. So recently, we've just passed our audits of 14, 15, and 16. We're very close, and I would anticipate in September that we will have our 17 done. And according to our financial consultants and the Casperate Group, our auditing firm, we can have the audits completely updated by October 31st of 2020 this year. Okay. So the significance of that is, thank you. And I must admit, I got to give our our village manager, Mrs. Beck Fulgham, and her administrative staff, Mrs. Kelly, and all the people who deal with our finances in the John Casperate Group, great gratitude and thanks for what they're doing, because without these things and mechanisms, we'll never be eligible, and we need to get as much free money as possible.
Absolutely.
So we've completed 14, 15, and 16. 17 looks like it's going to be approved by the city council very soon. Okay. And by October 31st of 2020, this year, we should be caught up. Wow. And then what that does, it releases us. It allows us to be back in the portal of the state of Illinois, the IDNR, which is the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. So now we are grant eligible again. Okay. We're able to go back in apply for these grants and start moving forward and have the appropriate dollars sent to the Regal Farm, the historical Regal Farm,
right,
and the beautiful Pine Lake. So we're on track.
Good.
We're on track.
Good. You know, it's important for people to understand, because it's easy for you to say that, you know, we have gone backwards and got 2014, 15, and 16 done, but it's not easy to look backwards when it comes to financial matters also, and particularly when you weren't here. So you have new leadership that's looking backwards. So I hope that people understand that's a tall order to achieve in a short period of time that you guys have achieved it. So you're talking about almost nearly in less than 2 years having 6 years worth of financial audits completed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's vitally important, and that's something that I give a strong directive to. If we're going to grow and get the respect and get our bond ratings down and be able to capture everything that we should have, that's vitally important that our books are in order and our financial house is stable.
Excellent, good. Well, I'm looking forward to that as well. You know, it takes a lot of leadership to deal with things that you walk into. And so you walked in situations like you just described. The water took up a great deal of your time within the first 100 days of leadership. You also said that there were no plans in place. There were no, you know, your financial matters were somewhat in disarray. And so I hope that there's a great deal of appreciation for having to put those structures in place. That's what you're saying, is that the process and structures for addressing those things are now in place for you all to move forward and do even bigger things.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
So one of the big things that you know that you are going to focus on is cityscape. I know that it has been an eyesore in your town and that you inherited. But what's the plans for blighted property? You know, because blighted, when you eliminate blighted property, it's like really a success story. It's something that people can see that's being addressed. So why don't you talk about cityscape?
Well, as during the campaign, and not just during the campaign, just now that we're in office, because we're moving forward. During the tax sale in Weld County, Cityscape was just purchased by a group of investors.
Okay.
We've actually did a locate, and through code enforcement, and we found out who the investors were. I believe it was some lady out of Dallas, Texas, or California, that was actually one of the owners. So we got the message to her. She came on in, she flew in, she had to sit down, and she said that their plans were to develop Cityscape and make it a beautiful place to live. Well, I listened to her, and I listened to her, and I gave her some deadlines. I said, listen, Cityscape is not just a hazard and an eyesore, but it can also be an environmental mess, and it doesn't need to be in our community. I've asked our attorneys to start looking into the immediate demolition, eminent domain, and get the building down, get it erected.
Okay.
Unfortunately, right now, the process is a little slower due to COVID-19, because there's a court process that they actually have to go in and file. There's a process for demolition.
Okay.
But we're in the process of looking at demolition. The lady's deadline is October to let us know what her plans are for Cityscape.
Okay.
She has to have solid plans. It has to clean up the area immediately. I want the thing to be cleaned up. I don't want it to be a hazard in the community, and I really want it down. And if she does not comply with it, then we're going to do what we have to do. The city council supports that. The residents deserve that, and we're not going to continue to have blighted property in our community. So we're definitely working on cleaning up that matter of Cityscape on Burnham Drive. The residents who live in front of that, when they have to open their door every single day and look at that, deserve better.
Right.
And as I said, when I knocked on those doors, I'm sticking to what I said, and we're going to get that dilapidated, ugly eyesore down and make that a beautiful place for someone to live, or whatever happens with that property.
Good. So you know what? It's good to see that that you all have given them a deadline, and I hope that they follow the most prudent steps to do what you guys are asking, because really being a slumlord to a large degree of a community, actually, when they don't do the right thing. So
yeah, and I understand that when the development was underway, that the housing market crashed at the time being, but that doesn't mean it has to sit there looking the way it looks.
Right.
I cannot have it
Good.
on my watch.
Good.
Not for 4 years, not even for 2 years. I want that thing down at least by my midterm.
Good. All right. Well,
if not before.
All right. So in addition to Cityscape, you know, you all have also passed the crime-free housing ordinance, and so it sort of goes into blighted housing in terms of similar to Cityscape. So could you speak to how the trustees and in your leadership, how you all look at using the crime-free housing ordinance in terms of addressing some of the blighted housing and some of the issues that you're dealing with in terms of property ownership inside of the village of University Park?
Well, listen, what the crime-free housing does, and I thank the City Council for understanding the urgency and supporting this legislation. It's vitally important for accountability of our landlords. What the crime-free housing ordinance does, it gives us an ability for a couple of different things, Jeff. First of all, it lets us know who the owner of the property is, because now that an owner of the property has to register with the municipality, has to register with the village. Not just alone does the owner have to register with the village, but the tenants that inhabit that rental property have to be registered with the village.
Okay.
So now we're gonna know who the landlord is, who the tenants are, and they're gonna have to comply with the housing laws and rules on the village of University Park. What that does give us is the ability to enforce if they're not in compliance after a certain amount of process, then we can get them out of there within 30 days. And that's vitally important because everybody has to have a place to live.
Right.
But when you move into new communities, some people just do things a little bit differently, and every community is differently, so they must follow the guidelines of the community. Previously, there was no accountability for who the landlord was. We didn't know who the tenants were. So you could have a felon or some hideous person hiding out there, but we wouldn't know who they are.
Okay.
But now it gives us the ability to say, you're supposed to have 5 people in this property. These are the 5 people that are there, and that's it.
And you can enforce that.
And we have enforcement measures.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's a working process.
Sure.
And also, we just had a presentation at our yesterday's board meeting, to be Tuesday's board meeting, whenever it was, that we're also entertaining, working on making sure that we have accountability on all of our bank-owned foreclosures.
Okay.
Because banks have foreclosures in all of our communities, and sometimes banks aren't the best landlords or tenants because they don't maintain the properties. So we're looking at a person, at an entity that can come in, keep a record of all of our bank-owned foreclosures, get them back on the tax rolls, make sure that the banks that do own the property maintain them the way they should be. So they have a variety of mechanisms in place that people might not know or understand, but these are some of the processes that help clean up our town and give us accountability of our bank-owned foreclosures. Because it's our goal not just to have the empty homes that are existing in our town back on the tax rolls, but to build new housing and increase the population and rooftops in the community.
So that ordinance then really is a safety and economic development measure that you and the trustees actually enacted. And so so people need to understand that as well. So when they see, so that they can call and maybe provide information and work in partnership with you as well to ensure that people are following that ordinance as well.
All we want to do in the village of University Park is ensure that everybody has a good quality of life. Good. And that's the thing. And safe in their own community.
Absolutely.
And homes.
Good. One of the things that, so you've been doing a lot. Water you're addressing, you're dealing with some of the blighted property, as well as pushing on the 2020 census and making sure that the community stays safe during this pandemic as well. So there's been a lot going on. I mean, a lot. Would you say?
Yeah. It's a lot.
Right. So we have, in addition to that, there have been some financial challenges in the first year as well. And so what have been some of those challenges and how have you addressed them and what's to look forward for the next 2 years of your mayoral tenureship?
Well, I would say the financial challenges I mentioned earlier, not having the treasurer's reports filed for 3 consecutive years, not having adequate motor fuel tax funds to operate to ensure that our roads and streets can be fixed properly, and not having our audits up to date. But we're, as I stated during our campaign pledge, that we will fast track those audits to get us eligible again for grants from the state and federal grants. So
Okay.
we're moving forward in that way as far as getting our financial house in order.
Have those lack of grants and being successful in getting those grants impacted the resurfacing and road repair projects in your community?
Oh, definitely.
How so?
Well, listen, anytime that we're penalized and our motor fuel tax money is subtracted instead of added, that means there's less road work that can be done on the streets. There's less road work that can be done within the community. We were fortunate enough to come in and walk into a great situation where we were able to, as most residents can see when they come down University Parkway, we've got new a walking path. We've got a new look on University Parkway. We've got new pavement going. And see, a lot of those things come from those dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And so motor fuel tax money gives us the ability to take it and apply it to some of the things that we need done in our community.
Okay.
We need streets, and we're working diligently on those streets. And as we move further, I'll tell you exactly, and I'll inform the residents on exactly what streets are going to get done in the late summer and fall of 2020 this season. I think they'll be pleasantly pleased to hear that there are going to be some construction projects going on toward the last quarter of our construction season.
Good. So maybe in the next Mayor's Corner, we'll be able to provide that information.
Yeah, show some nice videos of tractors and trucks moving some earth and cleaning up the streets. I'll be very pleased to,
Good. You still have a lot going on also. Despite the challenges, let's not forget that you still have Amazon going on. Sometimes you focus on the glass that's half empty because there's a lot of things going on, but you still got Amazon constructing a distribution center right here in your town as well.
Jeff, you know what? You said something mighty funny to me just now, and I use this example quite frequently. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a glass half empty.
Good.
I always see it half full, and that we're always working there.
All right.
I'm a positive person and very optimistic. I just want to be a positive, motivating force in the leadership role as a mayor to ensure that we deliver the quality of life and services to our residents. So Amazon is a humongous part. People do not understand the magnitude of having a company such as Amazon as the cornerstone of your community.
Absolutely.
And people might say, well, they don't do this and they don't do that. Amazon is one of the best companies in the United States of America to have as a cornerstone in your community. Is everything perfect? Absolutely not.
Right.
Are we a lot better than we were before Amazon? Oh, absolutely. It will be maybe a couple of years, and the residents will actually start feeling the impact and the tax dollars of Amazon and what they actually do for community. They're some of the best community partners that you can have once they open their doors in their community. There's a process, but we're on track and we're following the process, and we're good, because what Amazon does, they drive industry. And when I say they drive industry, that means people build around these facilities.
Absolutely.
We have a area which I refer to as the Cicero Corridor, which is the backside of Amazon. What's happening now on the Cicero Corridor is phenomenal. Even during these critical times where there's the pandemic that we've never seen before, when there's civil unrest, when we've got a 45 that's running rampant, that's dividing this country every single day, Amazon is going to unite this community.
They are, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, they are great partners, and people say, well, listen, anytime that you have the opportunity to bring in a company that will provide 800 to 1,000 jobs, not just for the village of University Park, but for the Southland region. And if we don't start thinking as a region and working community and working hand in hand, that's how we win, Jeff. That's how we win.
Good.
Because now what Amazon has done just in this South suburban region has invested over $3 billion of their money into communities. So what I'm also saying, with all the economic development projects for the first time in probably 25 years in the Southland going on, it's knocking on the door of the third airport, which University Park is in the footstep of it, which Cicero Corridor through the village of University Park takes you right to the front of the third airport. So when you bring a company in like Amazon, what you do, you bring other companies come in. Before you know it, you'll see a Burger King, for instance, or you may see a gas station, a Dairy Queen. You may see other things that drive, because now the residents that work, the people who work and the residents who work at the Amazon,
they got to eat.
They've got to go to lunch, they've got to eat, they've got to go somewhere, they've got to spend their money. We've got a huge industrial park. So these things are slowly but surely economically coming together. I'm an economically driven mayor because I understand that economics drive deep down into the community, and without the proper economics and having our local economy doing good, then we're not going to do any good. Economics are very, very good because in University Park, currently, there are not many options or choices for people to spend their money, but just around the corner, just on the other side of the bridge, there are going to be great opportunities. And what economics do, they drive the real estate taxes down. They bring jobs closer to home. When people can leave out their home and work 15 minutes away from their home, what that does, it saves them so much money for going downtown Chicago, going to Rosemont. I've got a neighbor that rides to Rosemont, O'Hara, every single day. Boy, would he love to have the opportunity to work closer to home and make that same dollar. So two things that it does to make us socially a social advantage. It gives the people an opportunity to earn a great living close to home. But the other thing it does, which is important to me and to you, and I'm quite sure our viewing audience, it's the quality time with our family.
Absolutely.
Family is so important. So important. And that's what we're driving home for. That's why we have to make these deals. We have to give these incentives because University Park is a family-oriented community with great amenities. And if they're just a little patient and understanding with me in the administration, we are slowly but surely transitioning our community to greater heights. Sometimes the culture and the mindset of the people are a little bit different because everybody echoes the word of change. But an agent of change is happening. An agent is occurring. And everybody may be just a little uncomfortable. You've got a mayor and a city council and an administration who works with honesty, integrity, and the best thing that we got going, we have a vision and a genuine concern about the well-being of the village of University Park. So, there's so much negativity out there at times, Jeff, and there's so much hellacious things, and sometimes I don't respond to them, but I have noticed that sometimes perception is bad because sometimes if you don't say things and you don't respond to all those things, people take the wrong perception. But I just want to let everybody know that everything is fine in the village of University Park. Some practices of the past were thought to be doing the right thing. But sometimes you can do the right thing the wrong way for so long that we've adapted that it's the right thing to do. So now we're changing the culture, and people have to understand during the changing of the culture, things might not operate the same as they're accustomed to, but they're all going to work out for the benefit. So I'm asking the residents who may be confused, who may not truly understand, who may be misinformed or don't understand the process, that I do have an open door policy. And if anyone would like to sit down with myself or any member of the city council, I'm here for you. You can dial 708-534-4327 and make an appointment, and I'll be glad to sit down with you. One good thing I would say, Jeff, is what I talk about when I talk with the residents and the things that I do say, I can back them up with the supporting documentation, and that's important.
And so, those are all great things. And the one thing that I would summarize that with is that Amazon made an investment in this community when they could have made investments in a lot of different communities in the state. So the one thing that I look at University Park and I'm proud of is that Amazon made the investment here. But think about the choices that they could have that they had in terms of making that choice. So people need to be very, very proud of that choice of being one selected for this distribution center. So I'm proud of you all, as I am in the village of Matheson and also Markham as well. So I'm very proud of all of you all for achieving that, and I'm looking for that to be at least a step in helping to build this region.
And since you mentioned my other mayors in other towns, what we're also doing is we're going to be passing a memorandum of understanding. So that means University Park, Monee, Matheson, and Markham will work collectively together on jobs. Matheson, Markham have robotic facilities. University Park has the largest fulfillment center in the area, because what we house are, in our Amazon, we house the large items like refrigerators, stoves, and furniture. This is the big box.
Okay.
So when our residents order something,
next day,
hey, it might be the same. Might be the same day. So give everybody a chance. Give things an opportunity to open up. You'll see it's a very good venture, and it's a very good choice. Tough negotiation, biggest negotiation deal I've ever made in my life, and I know that God placed me here for the purpose, because He knew these things were coming.
Well, you know what? I'd like to give a round of applause to the Village of University Park for a big achievement, and there are bigger things on the horizon. And when I talk about, some of the things that you cannot control, can't control COVID, you cannot control the water crisis, but what you all have controlled is attracting business to your community and fixing your finances. So there are things that you are taking and moving the village in a new direction. So I take my hat off to you, and I look for bigger and better things in the future.
And I compliment my city council for supporting the vote.
Absolutely.
Because when you vote for a company like we did in our redevelopment deal on the 13th of March, when this was finally approved, when you vote for economic development like that, you vote for public safety, you vote for 4 new squad cars, you vote for a public works truck, you vote for code enforcement cars, you vote for a new public safety building on the west side of the tracks in our industrial park, which will be a joint building with police and fire.
Okay.
Some of our residents are probably even unaware that there is a second fire station. And down the line, I would like to set up community tours and take our residents and let them go through our industrial park and let them know exactly how big we are, what we are. We're wiping off this diamond, baby.
All right.
We're working.
So let's shift before we wrap up to just another big item, couple of areas. One is your partnerships with education. With the Governor State University, have a new president, and also the Crete Monee School District as well. Would you like to share anything in terms of what you're doing in terms of partnering with those 2 learning institutions?
I'm pleased to say, since I've been in office as mayor, that we've crafted and created a brand new partnership. Even as the existing president, Dr. Eileen Mayman, was outgoing, I was invited on several occasions to give welcoming addresses, to speak to the Southland Economic Development Corp, to the Pipe Fitters Union, to the Electrical Union, to students. There's been a great cohesive relationship developed. Well, now we're even working on bringing the Governor State golf team back to the Village of University Park's golf course, which naturally it should be their home course, 5 minutes outside of their gate, right across the street, and not down south in another municipality. We're working on that, and we're crafting those relationships. I've had the opportunity and pleasure to meet the new president, Dr. Green. There's also a new community relations director, an engagement person by the name of Dr. Roberson. She has jumped in as well with the burst of energy and enthusiasm, seeing and understanding the potential of the Village of University Park and how local government and community, and not a community college, a 4-year fine institution, work hand in hand together with not just the university, but with our high schools. It's vitally important. We're working extremely well. I sat on the board, Jeff, from 2005 to 2017 as a trustee. And these things never occurred during my tenure as a trustee in the Village of University Park. So I'm proud to say that we've broken through the ice, and we're fostering new partnerships and creating lifetime partnerships and things that we're going to be doing jointly together.
So let's talk about some of the fun things that you've been doing in the village. You had your antique car show parade, your custom car parade.
Upcoming.
Oh, it's upcoming.
It's
okay.
upcoming,
Okay.
yeah.
When is that? Do we have a date on that? Or
Yeah, I'll give you a date.
Okay.
You know, you want to talk about some fun stuff,
Right.
And let me explain. I want to compliment and thank the members of the Mayor's Office of Special Events. These ladies are volunteers from our community who work diligently like it's their job to make sure that there are some kind of activities and events in the community that unite and bring people together. We don't use mechanisms to divide and conquer. These ladies work hand in and day out to just create an environment of fun and inclusiveness and bringing folks together and giving back to the community. Without that group, we wouldn't have had some of these unique partnerships with Faith Movers and First Baptist Church and Governor State University, because we work jointly as partners, you know. We just did our first drive-in movie yesterday on August the 19th.
Okay.
We had about 25 cars, you know. We learned some things, but the whole concept, we have to start somewhere. And it was a great turnout. Yesterday was a very beautiful evening. There was 2 movies, Jurassic World and Bad Boys for Life.
Okay.
It's pretty well attended for a first time, you know. We got to start somewhere.
Good.
So we started.
Put your stick in the mud and make progress from there.
Yeah,
So
you know,
the fact of the matter is you did it.
Yeah, they throw you lemons, you make lemonade, you know.
Make lemonades,
We
right.
ain't got no sugar, it's still lemonade.
It may not be sweet, but
Yeah.
it's lemonade.
Yeah, you know.
Good.
So up and coming.
What's up and coming?
On August the 29th, we are having a back to school parade and somewhat of a festival due to the constraints of COVID-19. We're being very unique in finding some way to just bring enthusiasm and excitement to the community.
Okay.
Because during COVID, you know, you get cabin fever.
Yeah.
You know, there could be mental
Isolation.
Yeah, there could be mental health issues, and you start really actually learning on how important people are to each other. So back to what we're August the 29th, there's going to be a custom and classic car parade that will go out through the community.
Okay.
Old school cars, new cars, and there's going to have a floats for the officials, and there's going to be music, and they're going to ride through the town. And we're encouraging residents to step out on the main streets on Black Hawk, Burnham, and Sandra on the 29th of August. Come onto the curb, bring your cameras out, sit in your garage. We're going to all be social distancing. We're all going to have masks on. We're all going to be in cars. But let's show some support for our students that are going back to school in some of the most unprecedented circumstances that could ever imagine. Can you imagine a first grader going to first grade for the first time and how they're being compromised a little bit, the enthusiasm of starting school, and now what we're working on, remote learning and things of that nature, and how the parents are going to have to make accommodations and things. If some parents are working, but now what do I do with my kids with the remote learning? There are quite a bit of challenges. So sometimes it's just good to get out and have a good time.
Absolutely.
So come out, enjoy the car parade and show. Get some school supplies. We're going to be giving away masks. They're going to be limited supplies, but they're going to be essential supplies that are going to be distributed to our young people going back to school. So please join us for that custom car and classic show parade on the 29th for the first part of today. Also, later on that evening, from 4 o'clock to 9 p.m., there's going to be what we consider a cruise-in. Now, this cruise-in, I have the vision that it's going to be a phenomenal day, and God's going to bless us with extremely nice, peaceful weather. But what this is they're going to be custom, classic, antique, futuristic cars and vendors out there just showing off their cars, sitting out, just having people come in and view the cars. There's going to be music by the famous DJ Sam Chapman from 95.1.
Okay.
And we may have some guest appearances and some giveaways, and we might have some celebrities and personalities from 95.1. We may not. But one thing for sure, we're going to have Sam Chapman out there playing some good old music. So get on out the house. walk out to our town center, social distance, and enjoy it, and look at some of the cars and meet some of the people and enjoy the music, and let's just work on being a community. We also have a shred event upcoming, and that is September the 12th.
Okay.
At the University Park Town Center. So keep that in mind. September the 12th, residents. We're going to be having a shred event, free shred event.
Ooh.
So get all of your items that you want to be totally eliminated and put in September 12th, and come up to the town center and shred your items.
Well, I'm an honorary Village of University Park resident, so I will be bringing my documents to shred because I got a ton of them. So,
well, bring them on. That's what we do these things for.
I love it. So I'm going to definitely mark both of those things because I missed the parade last year, the Back to School Festival last year, and it was something that was really, really unique.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to try to make that next Saturday.
Okay.
It's next Saturday, and so looking forward to that. And so as we wrap up, Mayor Root, as you've had a really, I would say, a leadership bound year where a lot of things have been hurled at you and the Village of University Park and the trustees. Is there anything that you would like to say as we wrap up this, somewhat of a year in review?
Well, I'll just close out on some of the things that's been accomplished since myself took the seat as mayor and the new board, working with the current board members that were there when we came in. For one, our village manager was able to go back some years and recapture $1.2 million of funds for our Cicero corridor.
Okay.
And what that does, that gives us the ability to put lighting and Cicero and trees and make Cicero corridor very attractive retail corridor. So, she was able to go back. I was a trustee back when we had this firm by the name of Baxter and Woodman. And if I'm not mistaken, these funds were allocated from our former Congressman, Jesse Jackson Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to be able to research and go back and put that back on the books and make it active, and we're able to receive the funding, what a phenomenal job, what a phenomenal things that's going to happen for our community as far as Cicero goes down. We've recently been awarded $2.5 million for renovations and remodeling of our metro station. We will be funded for that project October 21,
okay,
in the year 21. Okay. And that will give our metro station the college atmosphere or the town full of enthusiasm and excitement that it's deserved.
Nice.
It hasn't been addressed or remodeled in a very, very long time.
Okay.
Also, when we're talking about the metro station, right in that same area, as everyone knows, there are tracks that separate us from east and west and Governor's Highway. So before November 30th of this year, 2020, there's a construction project that's being let out for bid now. And what we're doing there, we're fixing all those holes and potholes, not just patching this stuff. We're doing this stuff the right way. And we're working in conjunction with the CNN Railroad and the Illinois Commerce Commission. And our deadline to have that project completed is November of this year, 2020. And what people will see now, you'll see new signage, flashing lines and things in that area. And that area will be cleaned up, and it won't be such a hazard riding over those tracks, breaking your rims up and all those other things.
Sure. I'm
proud to say that is an active construction project that will happen this year.
Okay.
Been recently passed by the Board of Trustees. I would also like I'm proud to announce that the original plans to get some streets resurfaced was Abbott Lane. Unfortunately, after our engineers looked at Abbott Lane and Amherst, the damage to those streets are a lot more substantially worse than we thought. For years, Abbott Lane has been a street that would hold water. So after the engineers and everybody took a real good look at it, it needs more than a resurfacing job. So Abbott Lane will be on the books for next year, because what Abbott Lane needs is a complete reconstruction of the street. That means going down into the system and getting rid of that holding that water, and then basically reconstructing the whole street.
Okay.
So that's why Abbott Lane is not getting done. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, that Public Works has gone out throughout the town trying to cold patch some of the worst streets and to make the driving a little bit better.
Okay.
But the good news to come out of that, we're going to be planning for Abbott and Amherst. Amherst is in the same condition. It's going to be a complete reconstruction. But fortunately, what we will be able to do this season, before construction season is over, we'll be able to get Farmview completely done, which is a great thing, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm quite sure, the residents need to see some things. And this, it was planned for a bigger street, but due to circumstances and financial constraints, that's over a couple of $1 million of job as a reconstruction thing on Abbott. But we will get Farmview done, and there will be some curb cuts on, say, maybe Abbott and Farmview in some of the worst spots in there to make conditions a little better with winter approaching. Let me see, the Farmview, talked about the streets, we talked about the metro renovation, we talked about the railroad crossing. Let's talk about, I'm fortunate enough to be the mayor in the village of University Park, that we've hired the first African-American female police chief. I've also talked about that we wanted to make sure that we had public safety, because that's been a concern. We've been a little short on officers. We're addressing that. Since my tenure as mayor, we were able to bring in 3 new officers on the street already. We've got a couple of more officers coming in. So we're working on getting our staff and our numbers up and making sure that our residents feel like they're safe, and the outside perpetrators say, well, we're not going out in University Park because they're, that's not the place that we want to get in trouble in. So we're working on it. As I mentioned earlier, we've got the new squad cars coming and that thing. So, and those cars are due to arrive toward the middle or the end of September of this year. So,
this year,
and once we get the cars, then we'll take our pictures, and then they go out for outfitting. So we'll have them on the street before winter gets here, which is good, and give some relief to some of the older vehicles. So we're moving in the right direction. Also with the boom truck, there's, there are dead trees all over the town, and you get continuously tired and over budget of constantly renting equipment, because you can only rent the equipment for so long and it has to go back, and you never have the opportunity to get the things done that you want. So now we'll have our brand new boom truck. Now our public works department can make sure that lights, when their lights are out in the community, that they have access to go out there. And we're changing from old lights to LED, and now we can start working on getting these dead trees down. So, there's a plan and there's a method.
Excellent.
And this is the first time that I can say, even as a trustee for 12 years, I can't remember us making major purchases like this. This is planted seeds for the future. Let me go over some other things. We surfaced University Parkway, rolled out a new walking trail for the residents. We've brought in the new Amazon facility. I know there's some things I'm going to miss. We've restored our intergovernmental partnerships with Governor State University.
Yes.
Advocated. We've got the Conspiracy Group. We're on track to get our audits done. We're fast tracking our audits to make sure that we're eligible for everything that we can be eligible for. We're constantly working with Aqua. We're going to get through this. Again, thank you for our residents' resiliency and belief that, a better day is yet to come. We're working, ensuring that the funding is right and restoring our historical sites. Regal Farm has been a passion for residents in the community to have that revitalized and restored. We're in process of doing that. This beautiful lake here at Pine Lake, we're in the process, once we receive our grants and everything, next year we'll be knocking at OSLAD's door, because we were told everything was good the way it should have been, that our proposal and our stuff was the best in the state. So we're going to get that money for the revitalization of Regal Farm and this Pine Lake facility.
Excellent.
So we're striving.
Good.
But don't let me dare to forget our town center, which is like the heartbeat of our community, which everybody passes by. It has been abandoned and empty for some time now. I'm so proud to say that now we have a Lear water group in there. They are part of this group called the U.S. Minority Contractors. But what the good thing about that is, they have gone in, we've approved their lease and contract, and what they actually do, they're an alkaline water distribution company. So that will be their distribution center and there will be a retail side. So the people who like to purchase alkaline water, they'll have that alkaline water right here in our community that we can get. But the good thing about it, they're renovating the whole 34,000 square foot grocery store.
Okay.
The mold remediated and everything. It's going to look like a brand new facility. They're doing work on the facade, and there are certain parts of the parking lot. So this is, and guess what?
What?
They're still paying rent. They still paying rent.
So they have a business plan in place, and it's a business that's going to sounds like it's taking place right now. So that's good to hear for the village of University Park, that they're made an investment. So another company's made an investment and a vote in this town and what you guys are doing.
Well, I'm a strong component, and a supporter of small businesses. That's what built this country. Not just alone do we have the U.S. minority contract. I mean, I say U.S. minority contractors because they're doing a lot of the work for those guys. But not just alone, we just opened up a new restaurant by the name of the Sugar Shack, which sells like steak sandwiches for people who are familiar with Chicago, like Taurus flavors, and they sell hoagies and a variety of other things, which is phenomenally, really, really good.
Wow.
And I'm glad to have him in our town center.
Excellent.
And next to him, we've approved the lease, there's a new barber salon coming, which is under renovation right now in our town center, and I anticipate that open being no later than November.
Right.
So it's under renovation. We also have proposals upcoming for lease approval for a CBD health food vitamin store, which will be selling CBD products for pain and creams and gummies and variety of things of that nature. And they'll also have a section in there with the humidor, which they'll sell quality cigars as well. We've got a clothing store coming in the town center. We're in lease negotiations as we speak right now. And there's where the OPK restaurant pantry was, there's a jerk restaurant that just came in and took a look at it. And there's also another person looking at it for a cafe. So we're slowly but surely making sure that we can return things back to the residents and giving them choices in our community for options. So, my goal for next year is to block off the street where you can pull right up to some of these facilities and have outdoor dining and have a completely renovated town center where our residents can feel comfortable just taking a walk up and getting an opportunity to have a new revitalized spirit of the community.
Well, it certainly sounds like you all have accomplished quite a bit, and you have a lot on the plate for next year. A lot of exciting things, and I'm really happy to hear that for you all. And the one thing after doing this with you for a year, there have been many things that you said you're going to do, and I know in listening to you and watching some of those things that they have been done. So it's going to be really exciting to see those things that you just mentioned for next year come to fruition, because it's really going to change the face of the village of University Park. So it's really exciting to hear.
It is, and it's an honor. It's an honor to serve, and it's a pleasure through the good and through the bad. And I gotta say, always, I really appreciate my wife Linda, because she understands, and she's not a political person. She's a sweet old gal, but she knows that when I come home, that I'm overwhelmed sometimes, but she understands that the passion is there. And what people say as well. You only won by a few votes, but this is the thing, and I'm not going to say this is right or this is wrong. I love God, and God gives me direction in every single thing that I do.
Good.
So when I won this election, God knew all these storms were on the forefront. He knew these things were coming, and for some reason, He picked a person like little Joseph E. Rudez III from the Ida B. Wells housing projects in the city of Chicago to be the mayor of the great village of University Park. I will not forsake, mislead, or do anything to destroy the integrity or the potential economic growth of the village of University Park. You can count on me. They say don't mix church with state, but God leads my life, whether you know it or not. I'm an ordained deacon, and I really love God. And I know that there's no failure in His will. So I'm going to do the very best I can, lead in the truth, trustful, and transparency, and work with my city council. Never put my mouth in a negative way about anybody.
Good.
Because whether you supported me or not, I support you all. Because we're going to all be one great community. Christians don't put bad things on mouths about people. Muslims don't put bad things on mouth. You can guarantee that Joseph E. Rudez will stay positive, will stay the course, and check the record. Look at what we do. That's how you decide on what's moving forward in your community. I thank you so much.
Good. And you know what, Mayor, on that note, I'm going to let that be the last word for this Mayor's Corner. I've loved sitting out here in the Pine Lake, beautiful Pine Lake, and I wish we could do it again. So thank you very much for this edition. And it's been great to be here with the Mayor, Joseph Rudez, today. And I appreciate you watching the show. And I want to say good luck to the village of University Park next year.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And I'd like to say, residents, thank you again so much for giving me your honor to serve as the mayor. I will lead the way through the thick, through the good, bad, bitter, and sweet, because we are one great community that I love so much. I love all of you guys. Let's work together as one big family. And remember, fill out that census form, wear your mask, stay safe, come out and participate in some of the community events. Speak to your neighbors and know who's in your community. I thank you so much from the Mayor's Corner. Have a nice day. Good afternoon, Mayor Rudez here, sitting at the beautiful Regal Farm property. Today I'd like to just talk to you just for a short time about the U.S. Census. The state of Illinois is at 68% of people completing their census. Here in University Park, we are at 56%. I really need your help and cooperation on filling out that form. It's very sweet and simple, 3 minutes at the most. Even if you do not have the form that was issued to you by mail, you can still go online and just use your address. Would you please do that for us? If you want to have a revitalized Regal Farm, you want to come out of your driveway and drive on the smooth paved streets, if you want to have quality teachers in our school district, if you want to have the infrastructure that we need in our community, to potentially to have the Hickok Pool reopened and our town center renovated, please, it's very, very important to fill out the census. Would you do that for me? I'm asking you, please fill out your census report. The deadline has been reduced to September 30th, 2020, and it's very important that everybody in the household is counted. We can have the opportunity to gain many dollars much needed for our infrastructure here in University Park. So please promise me that you'll go out and fill out your census. If you haven't done so, now you still have time, but don't wait. Thank you very much. September 30th is the deadline. 3 minutes, fill out your census, help your community. Thank you very much. Hello, Mayor Rudez again, here sitting at the beautiful property here at Regal Farm. Today I'd just like to give you a little COVID-19 update, and I'm going to ask all of our residents to please wear your mask in public. It can help save a life. This is something that we've never seen before, and it's the fear of the unseen that we're all afraid of. So science says that the mask gives us a greater chance of protection. Until we get a vaccination, please adhere to the rules of the state of Illinois and adhere to the rules here in University Park. So when visiting one of our local small businesses, wear your mask to go in the store and be conscientious of your neighbors next to you. Thank you, stay safe, shelter in, and let's look forward to what the new future holds here in University Park.